You'd have to look hard for a country with a better brand name than Denmark. It's not only the home of Hans Christian Andersen, the country seems to live in one of his fairy tales. The people are pretty and prosperous, the land is green and fertile, the towns are colorful and squeaky clean. The Queen is much beloved by her people and hails from the oldest monarchy in Europe. Who could ever imagine that this lovely little land would spark riots sweeping the Islamic world? Is it a quirk? A coincidence? We went to Copenhagen to find out and discovered that there's something really strange in the state of Denmark and that it's no accident the firestorm started here. The riots from Jerusalem to Jakarta can all be traced back to the most unlikely of places, a cluttered workspace in the apartment of Ka Butkin, a writer of children's books. Embassies are being burned around the world, people are dying in riots, and it all began right here, in this little living room with you. How does that strike you?
Well, it's sad to see what happens now. But I mean, I wrote a book about the Prophet Muhammad to promote better understanding between cultures and religions here in Denmark.
Butkin had trouble finding someone to illustrate his book. Muslims don't permit representations of their prophet, and illustrators were afraid of offending the Muslim community in Denmark. Butkin's problem became known to the editors of Denmark's largest newspaper. Its cultural editor, Flemming Rose, said he was offended by what he called this self-censorship. He explained himself in an interview that aired on the BBC.
It's problematic if some Muslims requires of me that I, in the public space, in the public domain, have to submit myself to their taboos. In that case, I don't think they are asking for my respect. I think they are asking for my submission.
But Rose has said he wasn't about to submit. Instead, as a challenge, he invited Danish cartoonists to submit cartoons about the prophet, and he printed 12 of them. One showed Muhammad wearing a turban that was really a bomb.
Because in Denmark we do have a tradition of satire and humor, some of the cartoonists made satirical cartoons. But that's what we do with Jesus Christ. That's what we do with other religions.
Well, not exactly. The editors of the paper, the Jyllands-Posten, recently rejected a satirical depiction of the resurrection, saying it would cause a public outcry. But the paper did print the Muhammad cartoons, all 12 of them. And until last week, Rose defended his decision on just about every broadcast that would have him. The newspaper insisted from the start that its purpose was to show that there are no higher values in a democratic society than free speech and free expression. And if Muslims want to live here in Denmark, they'd better buy that. But as soon as events started careening out of control last week, the editors of this bastion of free speech reacted by refusing to speak to anyone at all. Not only that, Flemming Rose, that cultural editor, has been put on indefinite paid vacation and encouraged to leave Denmark. He's currently resting at a 5-star hotel in Washington, D.C. But Rose and the newspaper have their defenders, including the editor of a rival paper, Tuya Seidenfaden.
The way I've put it, and we've been saying in our editorials for some time, is we are defending their right to be stupid. We think that being stupid is part of freedom of speech.
When Jyllands-Posten published these cartoons, did they have any idea?
No, I don't think they had any idea that there would be an international crisis, certainly not one of this size. But of course they were doing it to get a reaction from the local Muslim religious minority. And they said so very explicitly. And they explained on their front page that they were doing this, and I quote, to teach religious Muslims in Denmark that in our society they must accept to be scorned, mocked, and ridiculed.
It was stirring it up.
It was very much stirring it up.
Muhammad is our leader. Muhammad is our prophet. Muhammad is the perfect man.
If the paper was trying to stir it up, it succeeded. Imam Ahmed Abu Laban is not preaching in Cairo or Baghdad. This is downtown Copenhagen.
And that's why we believe in him, we love him, and we keep on defending him.
What do you think was on the minds of the editors of the newspaper when they published the cartoons? What were they trying to accomplish?
They were trying to be teachers, to teach us democracy, the values of democracy, and most important, how to abide to those values. Love it or leave it. This is the way it goes. My dear student pupil, listen carefully. I'll try to help you.
Which of the cartoons did you find most objectionable?
The chairman and the bomb. This is the number one.
Abu Laban and his followers asked the newspaper for an apology, which they didn't get. A group of ambassadors from 11 Muslim countries asked Denmark's Prime Minister, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, for a meeting, which they didn't get.
Why did you refuse, sir?
Well, we have not refused dialogue, on the contrary.
But you didn't meet with the Arab ambassadors?
No, but I have to stress that the foreign minister has had meetings with ambassadors and foreign ministers and others.
But the newspaper editor, Tuya Seidenfaden, has his own view as to why the Prime Minister didn't meet the ambassadors.
Why not meet them?
Because sadly enough, in the domestic political situation in Denmark, the logic was simple. As conflict between the biggest newspaper in the land and religious Muslims, on whose side I am, it's very simple for a prime minister to answer, I'm with the big newspaper.